Thanks for joining me for today's practice. Today's practice is going to focus on the core and building that awareness up as well as increasing core strength. To begin, we'll start by taking in a few breaths, really focusing on how that air feels as it's moving in and out of the belly. So you can bring a hand to the lower belly if it helps. As you inhale, focus on filling up the belly, pushing the hand away. And exhale, release. Feel the diaphragm contract, pushing the air out of the lungs. Inhale, fill the belly up. Exhale, release. Relaxing through the shoulders and the neck, taking in a deep breath one last time. And exhale. Bringing the hands together at heart center. On your next inhale, bring the hands up towards the sky. Gaze can look up. As you exhale, lower the arm over to the right, reaching nice and long for a side bend. Hip stays grounded, reaching nice and long with the left arm overhead. Nice long straight line of energy. Inhale as you lift up. And exhale over to the left side. Making sure to follow the breath, not holding the breath, not collapsing into the ribs. On your next inhale, lift up. And twist open to the right for a side bend. Left arm reaches across, right arm props you up. Nice tall spine. Breathing deep into the belly. On your next inhale, lift the arms, open up back to center, and exhale, twist to the left. Check in with the spine. Make sure you're sitting nice and tall. On your next inhale, lift the arms up, tall overhead, and exhale, begin to lower the arms down, bringing them out nice and wide, open through the chest, lowering the arms all the way down. Moving into a boat pose. There's a few different options here. Connect with the sit bones to begin, finding those bony landmarks in the butt. We want to sit right into them, grounding through those landmarks. You can keep the feet planted and tuck the hands behind the knees, sitting back, letting the arms do some of the work while you tap into that core strength. Option to keep the hands out nice and long, letting the abs do all of the work. You can also lift the feet up and keep the hands behind the knees. Sitting back, taking the feet off the ground really adds that extra element. And the most advanced version, reaching the hands forward, balancing only on the sit bones. Core is tight, spine is long and tall. Now, wherever we are, we're going to move into a couple of boat twists. Just bringing the arms gently to one side and then the other. You can lower the legs if this adds a bit of difficulty. Otherwise, just stay up nice and tall and twist. If the hands are behind the knees, you're just twisting, just looking over, feeling the core working. And back to neutral and lower the legs down. Pause for a moment. Give the core a little bit of a break before we move into a low boat. Moving into a reclined position. Feeling the lower back, you can probably stick your hands underneath your back. There's probably a bit of space there if you're just lying neutral on the ground. What we want to do is tuck the core in and close that gap so that it is impossible to get your hands under. You can bring the feet to the ground and the knees up to really feel that engagement happening. Practice releasing, stick the hands under, feel the core is loose, and then engaged. It's tucked in tight, you can't get those hands under. That's what we want for our low boat. As you engage the core, tuck it under, bring the legs out long and the arms at the side. There's a hollowing out in the body, also known as the low boat. For an advanced version, you can take the arms overhead. But for today, we're just chilling. We're in our little core dinghy here. And release. Take the arms nice and long overhead. Stretch out the abs. Take in some deep breaths. Hug the knees in to the chest and offer a gentle roll here. Giving the lower back and the hips a bit of a massage. As well as working the stomach a little bit. Offering some gentle motion. Help ease that fired up core. Moving into some rock and rolls next. So we're just going to rock and roll up to a seated position. If that's uncomfortable for the spine, just roll over onto the right side and push yourself up. However, if you wish to join me, tuck the hands behind the knees and begin to rock. We'll do this a few times, giving the back a nice massage. Coming to a seated position here. Before we move into a tabletop position or any planks, I want to take a minute to just warm up the wrists, starting with some wrist rolls. Loosening up the hands, preparing the wrists to take a load. Work the wrists in another direction if you haven't already. Starting with some hand warm-ups, tight fists, open palms. I find it's really important and always a good idea to warm up the hands and the wrists before you move into any kind of tabletop, any kind of plank exercise where you're going to be supporting yourself. If the wrists are at all tight, then they will tend to hurt, and the focus is on the core. We want our wrists to be nice and warmed up, ready for these exercises. And shake the hands out. Moving into some forearm openers. So bringing the palms to the mat, fingertips pointing towards the body. Heels of the palms are pointing away and sitting back as far as comfortable, letting the forearms and the wrists open. This can be pretty intense, so only sit as far back as is comfortable. You can also tuck the toes and sit back. I find that kind of acts as a barrier from sinking too deep into this stretch. And begin to release, coming forward, peeling the hands up, give them a gentle roll out, perhaps a gentle shake. Getting the tops of the forearms this time, so the tops of the hands find the mat, fingertips pointing back, gently sitting back, only as far as is comfortable, not putting any extra stress or strain on the wrist, just trying to open through these often neglected ligaments, tendons, and muscles. And slowly begin to peel up, giving the wrists a gentle roll. Bringing the hands to the mat with the fingertips pointing out. One left hand's out towards the left, right's out to the right. And just shifting the weight from side to side, from one hand to the other. If this is difficult for the wrists, again, just tuck the toes and sit back. You can take some of the weight off of your hands. Just trying to get them adjusted and warmed up, ready to support us. And peel the hands off. Again, last time, rolling the wrists out. Hands, wrists, forearms should be nice and warmed up, ready to move into tabletop position. From here, we'll make our way into bird dog, revisiting that balancing pose. We'll take the right foot back, and the left hand will come out in front of us. Starting to focus on engaging the core and balancing on the right hand and the left knee. I like to start by lifting up the back foot first, lifting the right foot, finding that balance, before adding the left hand. Strong, tight core. Gazing forward and slightly down. On your next exhale, bring the left elbow to the right knee, crunching in underneath you. We're going to hold here, and on your next exhale, taking it back to bird dog before releasing back to table. Adjusting, preparing for the other side, taking the left foot nice and long this time, the right hand out. Starting to gauge the core, find that balance, lift the back foot. If this is good, just in your 3 points of contact, you can stay here, just focusing on trying to put less and less weight on the right hand. Otherwise, you can lift that right hand up. Everything is engaged. Working the core, the back, and the abs with this exercise. On your next exhale, bring the right elbow in to meet the left knee, crunching, holding tight here. On your next exhale, taking it long, back to bird dog, reaching and lowering down to the mat. Sit back into child's pose, bringing the feet together, knees out, hips to the heels, walk the arms out, rest the forehead against the mat. Offering the back and the abs a little bit of a break. Very briefly here before we move into plank pose. Inhaling, lifting up, coming onto the hands, the knees, or the options to come into full plank pose up on the balls of the feet and the toes. So we're either here, gently resting, the knees against the ground, really focusing on engaging that core, or all the way up, nice and tight, legs are engaged. No matter where you are, elbows aren't locked. Not collapsing through the hands either. Really being mindful of the weight distribution, feeling that weight pressing into the balls of the hands. It's not all collapsing into the heel of the palm. Holding tight here, taking our sweet time in this plank before moving into a side plank. So dropping the knee or keeping the knee on the ground if you're already on the knees. Otherwise, for that added challenge, just tilt over, stacking the feet. Raise the left arm up. We are balanced on the right arm. Keep the hip up. If you have your feet stacked, keep that core tight and engaged. and begin to lower the hand back down, returning to plank. Pausing here for a moment before moving into side plank on the other side. So tilting over, keeping that knee on the ground or keeping the hip nice and lifted, feet stacked, reaching up with the right hand. Maintaining that awareness of the left palm not collapsing into the hand. And release, coming back to plank pose. Drop the knees. Sit back into child's pose. Taking a little break here. Releasing any tension through the shoulders, back, core. On your next inhale, walk the hands towards the body. Finding a seated position on the mat. Kicking our way back to that reclined position. Moving into some slow bicycles. Slow-mo bikes, really. Bringing the hands behind the head. You can link the fingers together or just have them gently kind of cupping the back of the head. We're going to bring the right elbow to the left knee, crossing the body. You can keep the leg low for a challenge or keep it kind of up and high to keep this exercise a little easier. The choice is up to you. Either way, we're going to hold each bicycle for a few breaths, which is definitely going to make this exercise a lot more challenging. Bearing that in mind, switching sides now. Keep that leg at a comfortable distance, whatever works for you. And switch. Working with the space that we have. And switch. Left elbow, right knee. Just focus on the breath. Body's shaking, but mind is strong. And last time on this side. Shins lifted, chest lifted, switching. Last time. And slowly release. Take the arms nice and long overhead. Hug the knees in. I can offer some gentle rocks and rolls here, or just hug the knees in. Letting the belly soften. Relax the neck and shoulders. Take the left leg nice and long, keeping the right knee hugged in. Bring that knee across the body for a gentle spinal twist. Bringing the right arm out at the side, up towards the head, or keep the hand on the ribs if there's any kind of shoulder discomfort. Letting the spine unwind. Breathing deep into the belly. Feeling those abs still feeling fiery, that's for sure. On your next exhale, begin to release. Coming back to center. Taking the left knee across the body, this time hugging the knee in and slowly bringing it over. Bringing that left arm out nice and long, or you can keep it kind of up by the head, on the belly. The option is yours. Just gaze over the left shoulder and breathe deeply. And slowly begin to release, bringing that left leg back across the body. Take the legs out nice and long. One last time, inhale, bring the arms up, and exhale them down and over the head. Stretching nice and long, growing an inch or two, just stretching the feet and the hands. And release, softening, letting everything just melt into the ground. With every practice, you get a little bit stronger. You create a little more space, and you cultivate that much more awareness of yourself and your body. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.